So thank you so much for joining this webinar. I really want to appreciate and acknowledge each one of you because you've taken the time to join this webinar that only talks about your commitment to learning and your commitment to your own business. So once again, thank you so much for joining this webinar. So let me introduce myself. My name is Surendranathan Ardhanari. You can call me Suren. I'm a Tab business owner from Chennai. So that means I run the franchise of Tab in Chennai. And prior to joining Tab, I was in the IT industry for more than 24 years. And I was heading a center of excellence, working on different strategies for a large business unit, as well as a personal transformation coach. So that's a quick background about me. And then, so let's get directly into the webinar. So let me start with a quick question. Probably this question might ring a bell for many of you as well. So what makes a business or some businesses thrive while other businesses, they struggle to even survive, or they struggle to grow or scale their business? You can chat, you can put your response in the chat window. So what makes some people, some businesses thrive, whereas the other people struggle? Good execution of a good strategy. Yes. Yeah, process. Yeah, that's very true. So some businesses they focus on they have a very short-term focus where they focus on daily profits or short-term gains, or even some of them they're closing their daily transactions, or very operations and transaction focus. While if you're looking at creating a business that is truly valuable, obviously it takes more than that. So a long-term focus into the business will help you to thrive the business. What that means is you'll have to create a business model that is going to last long, right? So what it takes to create a business truly valuable is what we're going to discuss in today's webinar. And what you can hear from me is in terms of what kind of values that you can typically see in a business. How does a business go through the value transformation journey? What are the different value chains in a business, and why it is critical to understand these value chains in the business, as well as what it takes, what are the different things as a business owner that you will have to take to drive this value transformation. So these are the things that you will get as takeaways from this particular webinar. So let's move on to the, once again, let me admit few people. Okay, so let's move on to the core part of the webinar. So let's start with the journey towards value transformation. First and foremost thing, we need to understand the different, what we mean by value in a business context, right? I'm sure all of you are aware of what a book value is. So it is nothing but the net worth of a business as you see it in your financial statements, right? So it is nothing but your overall asset minus the liability. It is basically how you assess the financial health of a particular business, right? It's a straightforward thing. I'm sure all of you are aware of it. The next value, this thing is, what is business value? It is nothing but the current value of your business based on or influenced by the futuristic or the potential growth in your growth or potential ability for a business to generate cash flows. So that is what business value is. It is in simple terms, if you have to say, if somebody has to what it means for somebody to pay for your business, right? So that is what business value is all about. And the next one is market value, and it typically means what is the worth of the business from a market dynamic standpoint. Basically, if you are a public limited company, the market value or the market capitalization is nothing but your stock value into your your number of shares that you hold, right? So basically, that is the overall value of your business. While the market value is very, very dynamic, right? A lot of things might change, and you may not have direct influence over the market value, right? So in those kind of cases, you cannot influence the market value of your this thing because of the market dynamics. But what is there within your control is the business value. So the primary focus of today's webinar is primarily on the business value, on what it takes to improve the business value of your business. That's what we are going to focus on. Again, let me admit few people. Okay, so let's move on. Again, when we talk about value, we also need to understand. Okay, so just a quick recap of what your business value is. Business value is the present worth of a company influenced by its ability to generate sustainable future cash flows. Again, as I said, it is not just about your net asset that gives you the business value. It is about the business model that you create, which has the ability to generate futuristic cash flows, right? If as long as you have a business model which can generate a lot of money for you in the future, that is how people look at your business in terms of if somebody is planning to invest in your business. So that is what they will look at, how they value your business. So that's what business value is all about. So this is what we want to focus on today's webinar, on how it takes to create such a business value, right? So before, while I talk about value, there are different value chains in any business. These are the three value chains that I'm referring to. One is the customer value chain, the organization value chain, and shareholder value chain. A value chain is nothing but the kind of value that get delivered to that particular layer, right? For example, if for a customer, what makes value, what creates, or what is important to them. Let's say if you are a customer, or if you are buying a service or a product from me, what is the value that you would expect from me? Right? Obviously, you would expect good quality of service. Obviously, you would expect on-time delivery, and you would also expect a cost-effective solution from me, right? So these are some of the critical values that any customer would expect. So as long as we are able to deliver the three, I mean, I'm just talking about some sample three values. If these are some of the values, so once if you are able to deliver this value, you can say that you have delivered the customer, you have delivered what it takes to improve the customer value chain. Now let's talk about organization value chain. What are the different values that you can add to an organization? Let's say you go to some organization, you say that the organization is
Camera on है?
Can you all go on mute, please, if you don't mind? So an organization value chain, so if you go to an organization and you say that the organization is great, how do you say that this organization is great? What do you look for in an organization to make that organization great? Can you chat on that? Can you provide your response on the chat box? Okay, so an organization value chain, let's say if there is a good amount of let's say you have very good process and systems, then you say that the organization is good enough. Or if you know that the culture of the organization is good, then you say that the organization has got the organization is great. So these are some of the things that you would want to implement in your organization to improve the overall organization value chain itself, right? So now let's talk about shareholder value chain. I'm sure a lot of business owners are here. So as a business owner, you're not only the business owner, you're not only the CEO of the company, you're also one of the shareholders or the shareholder of your company as well. So what do you think can be added as value to the shareholder? The simple this thing is, as a shareholder, let's say if you are investing in my business, what would you expect as value? Obviously you expect maximum returns from me, right? So that is what the expectation is. And as long as you are able to deliver the return on investment, then you can say that, you can confidently say that you're adding value to that particular layer, right? So now, while these are the different value chains in any business, now let's look at who's supposed to actually deliver these value chains, right? So from a customer value chain, it is primarily driven by the execution team, right? So they are the ones who are actually working on the ground, working with the customer in delivering what it takes to deliver that value, right? For example, if you have a salesperson or if you have an operations person, so they are the ones who take care of on-time delivery, or they are the ones who are ensuring that the quality of service is good, right? So the customer value chain is being delivered by the execution team, or ideally should be delivered by the execution team. And when it comes to organization value chain, where we are talking about setting up processes, systems, talking about a good culture in the organization, so on and so forth. So who should be delivering this particular value chain? Yes, it is actually the management team or the leadership team. They are the ones who are supposed to deliver this particular value chain. They are the ones who are responsible for setting up certain processes, systems, and ensuring that these processes are being followed. And they do periodic reviews to ensure that all these things are being followed. So they are the ones who are grooming the team in terms of developing the culture of the organization itself. Now, the most important part, which is the shareholder value chain. Who do you think should be delivering the shareholder value chain? It is actually the business owner. So the business owner's primary responsibility is to deliver the shareholder value chain, basically the dividends or the return on investment, right? So while these are the different people who are delivering the value chain, how does a business owner ensure that these values are being delivered in the respective layer? So how do we measure? So let's look at some of these measures. When it comes to a customer value chain, the measure of performance is what we call as the return on operational expense. Operational expense is nothing but let's assume that a part of the operational expense is your salary, right? So you're hiring a salesperson, or you're hiring somebody for operations, right? What would you expect? You would expect them to deliver a good quality of service as well as on-time delivery, right? So as long as that person is able to fulfill that particular task, the expectation of the organization, then you know that you're getting good returns on your operational expense. So it's as simple as that, right? When it comes to organization value chain, the measure of performance is return on time invested. We call it ROTI. Why is it called return on time invested? Because as a business owner, right, how much time are you spending on in this particular organization, right? So that is a kind of measure. So if let's say if you own two businesses, one of the businesses you're spending 40 hours, and let's say that business is generating 10 crore of revenue, and in the second business you are spending 120 hours, and that business is also generating another 10 crores. Which one do you think is good for the business owner? Obviously, it is the first one, right? Because you're spending less time, but it is generating a good amount of revenue or equal amount of revenue compared to the other business where you're spending 120 hours, right? So if you are spending less time but generating good amount of value, what does that mean? So it means there is somebody who's taking care of the business. There is a leadership team which is taking care of the business, and you are getting involved only primarily probably in the critical decision making or in the primary review process. There are good processes and systems in place which is helping you to drive your business, and so that you don't have to spend a lot of time in that particular business, right? The next is shareholder value chain. We already spoke about this. The measure of performance there is return on investment. So the primary responsibility of a business owner is to deliver the return on investment, right? If the business owner is responsible for delivering the ROI for the shareholders, so what are the things that he or she should be working on? So for that person, for the business owner to give good returns, what are the things that the business owner should be working on, or should be really contributing to? So basically, he or she should be working on the growth strategy for the organization in terms of expanding the business, how to operate, how to improve the overall business model of the business itself so that it can give maximum returns, right? So ideally, that is what the business owner should be working on. However, in the current scenario, or even if you look at your own business, let's say if you're a business owner, where do you think majority of your time is going? Are you spending majority of your time in thinking about different strategies, growth plan, and things like that? Or are you focusing on the organization value chain where you are the one who's setting up the process, you are the one who's taking care of all mentoring the team and things like that? Or are you focusing on execution, which is focusing on the customer value chain? Where do you think majority of your time is going in your own business? Execution. One of them has said execution. How about others? Two and three. Okay. So that is a typical scenario in many of the SME business owners. The business owners spend a lot of time on customer value chain, probably limited time in the organization value chain, and very, very limited time on the shareholder value chain, right? So today, the business owners, they have to deal with a lot of customer escalations or internal escalation. If there is a conflict, they'll have to go and look into what the issues are. They'll have to see whether the goods have been shipped on time, so on and so forth, right? So they deal with the daily operations, and they are typically firefighting in many of these businesses. And the primary reason why the business owners are actually not able to spend time here is they most of the time they spend on the execution layer or the leadership layer is there is good amount of void that is created in the middle layer. Sometimes if there is a void where there is no strong leadership team or there is no process and systems, then obviously the business owners have to spend a lot of time on working on this particular layer, right, in the leadership or in the organization value chain layer. And in many cases, if the void is so much here, then the business owner has to jump directly into the customer value chain where they are the ones who are actually dealing with the day-to-day operations. So because of this void, there's so much of time that the business owner spends here, right? Sometimes if the void is in the execution layer, the leadership team may be there, but they will be jumping into the execution layer, or they will be jumping into the customer value chain layer, and they will be start focusing, whereas this void has to be filled by the business owner. So this is why we call it as a time value pyramid, where it typically depicts the time value of where the business owner actually spends. So in an ideal state, how should this triangle or the pyramid should look like? It should be an inverted pyramid. The business owner should ideally be focusing on or spending more time on the shareholder value chain, where he has to focus on the different strategies, growth plan, so on and so forth. Whereas he has to spend very, very little time on the execution layer, primarily in terms of ensuring proper governance is there, ensuring that the leadership team is performing their job, and ensuring that he is setting up the right team in place, right? So this is the nutshell of how an organization value chain works. Okay, now let's move on to the next this thing. What are the key attributes that we across different value chains? So we already spoke about this thing with respect to the customer value chain. The primary focus will be, or the key attributes will be, quality of products and service, on-time delivery, competitive cost, and customer service. And as far as organization value chain is concerned, it is operational efficiency, setting up processes, policies, and systems, technology adoption, leadership development, setting up standards, and procuring certifications, ensuring that the overall process and the quality of service is good, right? And obviously, in terms of setting up a good culture and value system within the organization. The business owner should ideally be focusing on the shareholder value chain, where he or she should be focusing on long-term vision and strategy of the organization, focus on corporate governance, risk management, competitive advantage, what gives you the edge over your competition, financial performance, creating a good brand image of the organization, innovation and R&D, and developing strategy assets which can help you to sustain your business. So ideally, the business owner, if you are a business owner, you should ideally be spending your time on the shareholder value chain. Right. So while we talk about all these things, so what are the fundamentals that a business owner should be driving? So before that, let me talk about a simple case study, more to give you a perspective in terms of value, right? In terms of numbers. So Supreme Power Equipment Limited is one of our own tab customers. They have been our customers for more than 3.5 years now. So they launched their IPO sometime in December 2023. December 2023, they launched their IPO. So they are into transformer manufacturing. So it is a capital intensive business. While the business has been going well, so they were constrained because it's a capital intensive business. They were starved of capital for them to grow the business. But the business owner had a clear growth plan. So definitely was very, very aspirational in terms of growing the business. Unfortunately, he was stuck because of the lack of capital. Sorry. Okay, so because of capital. So we introduced him to the concept of IPO, where we can raise funds through the IPO process. And at the time of the IPO launch, if you look at the book value, it was only 22.98 crores as it was filed in the DRHP. And at that time, business was valued at 120 crores. It was primarily because of the potential that they had in the business. So that's why they were in the growth industry as well. And that's how they were valued at 120 crores. And they launched their IPO with a premium price of 65 rupees per share. And now today, the market capitalization of that particular organization is 280 crores. I want to give this a case study primarily to talk about the numbers. How does the number change with respect to value transformation? That was the primary intent of sharing this particular case study. If you need more details about this case study, we can always discuss offline. Okay, so now talking about, we spoke about the different value chain transformation. So as a business owner, how do you ensure that this value chain transformation happens in your business? So driving value chain transformation as a business owner. So that's what we're going to discuss now. So first and the foremost thing is investing in vision and not just transactions. So we already talked about the short-term gains versus the long-term focus, right? Short-term gains, typically, if you're focusing on just short-term transactions, you're only talking about transaction management here and not about a long-term focus. So the first and the foremost thing is investing in the vision, right? So we normally draw an analogy of a bicycle, where if you look at a bicycle, the power to the bicycle comes from the rear wheel. The harder you press the pedal, the faster it moves. But what gives direction to the bicycle is the front wheel. If you don't steer your front wheel properly, you will reach the wrong destination much faster. Right? So in a business context, we refer the rear wheel as the business vision, and what gives direction to the business vision is the personal vision. So it depends on as a business owner, what kind of vision do you have for yourself, and you are using business as a means to an end. For example, if you are very, very aspirational in terms of wealth creation, you will use your business to create that wealth. And in order to create that wealth in your business, obviously you need to have a clear business vision in terms of how are you going to generate that wealth through your business. So a personal vision precedes business vision. So it is very, very critical that every business owner has a clear or a clarity in their personal vision as well as clarity in their business vision, right? So having defined what the vision is, if you ask any business owner, what is your vision? Obviously, they will say that I want to grow like a 500 crore organization or a 1,000 crore organization. Everybody has that vision. But how does it translate into strategy? How does it translate into the execution plan is the question. And more importantly, who holds the business owner accountable for the vision? For example, as I said earlier, if a business owner wants to achieve 500 crores or 1,000 crores net worth, who holds that person accountable, right? You may have a 100-member team working for you, And if your employees are not performing, or some of your employees are not performing, obviously you will start questioning them. But in the SME world, as a business owner, is there anybody to question you? Most probably not, right? So you are the individual business owner who's working on the business, and if and there's nobody to hold you accountable, right? Meaning there's nobody to question you. Let's say you had planned to deliver something this month, and if the plan does not work, and if you're not able to achieve the result, obviously you will give excuses to yourself, to saying that, okay, I was busy with some other transaction, because of which I'm not able to spend time on the new initiative. So that is a typical challenge that every business owner in an SME segment faces. But if you correlate that with, if you compare that with a corporate segment, so there is a concept of board of directors. So what do they typically do is they guide the CEO of the company, and they hold the CEO accountable for the vision of the organization in terms of how well the organization is performing, right? And that is how they ensure that the CEO is delivering the results, right? So in an SME segment, let's say if you are an individual business owner, or if you are part of a family business, you may want to look into getting into a structure where there are people who will make you accountable. If you are part of a family, let's say where you and your brothers or sisters or your own cousins are there, you may want to set up a family board kind of a structure where there is clear roles and responsibility of the members of the family, and each one is holding the other person accountable for the results that they deliver. So how you typically run a professional organization. And if you're an individual business owner, you may want to start looking at being part of a business owners advisory board, where there may be other people who may hold you accountable, and not just hold you accountable, but provide appropriate guidance as well, so that you are able to achieve your vision. And if you have like in a partnership kind of a firm, you may want to start looking at setting up management boards where the other members of the board can make you accountable. So this is one of the important focus areas that you need to have to ensure you are accountable for the results that you would want to deliver, or the results that you would want to commit for yourself, right? The next this thing is making business roles exitable. So when I talk about making business roles exitable, I'm not talking about exiting the business, right? I'm only talking about business roles here, right? As a business owner, you may be playing multiple roles. You are the CEO of the company, you are the sales head, you are the operations head. You may be playing multiple roles in your own business. So if you were to spend a lot of time on the shareholder value chain, obviously you will have to reduce some of your overheads with respect to the roles, the other roles that you are playing apart from a business owner role or a CEO kind of a role, right? So how do you typically exit out of such roles? So the first and the foremost thing is start creating strategic assets within your organization. So what I mean by strategic asset is resources and capabilities and key differentiators in your own organization, where you're setting up different processes and systems, some differentiators with respect to IP or some kind of an innovation, which is going to give you that strategic advantage for your own business. And these processes and systems and the investment in people will help you to sustain your business, because they are the ones who are going to run the business for you, right? If you have created such strategic assets, then it'll free up a lot of your time so that you can start focusing on what you're supposed to do, which is focusing on the shareholder value chain. The second thing that you may want to look at is developing a strategic leadership team. Again, I'm not mentioning as just a leadership team. I'm talking about a strategic leadership team, where the leadership team, they are not just order takers from you. They are strategic thinkers. They are the think tank of your organization, where they can start looking, bringing some kind of a transformation within your organization, right? So where they are able to take their own decision rather than depending on the business owner. So they start developing such strategic leadership team, which will help you to ensure they are taking your vision and they are making it a reality. So they start executing such strategies and bringing the results for the organization. So that's what I mean by strategic leadership team. And last but not the least, which is the succession planning, right? Every organization should have a detailed succession planning in terms of proactively identifying the future leaders of the organization, so that your transition of your leadership roles will be seamless, right? Some may retire, some may quit the job. So you need to have a strong succession planning for each and every critical role so that the transition happens successfully. And sometimes it might require your transition as well. So if you are an individual business owner, have you started looking at succession planning for your own role so that there is somebody who can take over your role when you are talking, when you eventually want to retire, or when you eventually want to exit out of the business itself, right? So these are critical things that you'll have to focus on, which will make some of the business roles that you are performing exitable, right? So this is another important dimension that you may want to look at. Now, concluding this particular thing. So one thing which I want request you all of you is ask yourself a question. Are you just focusing on transaction, which is focusing on the daily operations, daily routines, making sure that your day focusing on daily sales, so on and so forth? Obviously, they are all important, but are you just focusing on the transactions, or are you building a company that creates value for generations to come? It is not just your own generation, it is for generations to come. Are you creating that kind of an asset from your business where there are multiple generations which you can transition into, right? If your response to the question is yes for the second one, then please start focusing on these aspects. Have a good clarity in the vision, both your personal vision as well as your business vision. And the vision is what sustains a business, right? Start investing in leadership team along with your people as well as culture. This what builds resilience in your business. And important thing, which is setting up systems and processes to ensure consistency and scalability. And the most important part is holding oneself accountable. Start creating an ecosystem where everybody is accountable to someone, so that there is a culture of accountability within your organization, starting from the business owner right through the lowermost layer within your organization. When you start implementing all of these things, then you can ensure that you are making your business truly valuable. So with that, let me conclude my webinar. And here's my number and here's my email ID. We can probably open up for the floor for any questions that you may have. If you have any questions, either you can put your questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and then you can ask your questions.
Thank you, Suren, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leslin.
Thank you, Suren. This was really amazing. Lots of takeaways. Learned quite a bit, especially the one where you made a distinction between personal vision and business vision, and how value is created. That was it was all really good.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Sir, I would like to know more about return on time investment. I was a little bit confused on return on time investment as well as return on investment. Or
Okay.
I clear on return on investment. I would like to know return on time invested.
Sure. So the example that I gave, were you there at that time? Okay. So basically, how much time do you spend in that particular business, and what is the return that you get out of that, right? So the example that I gave earlier was, let's say if you have two businesses, if you're running two businesses, and in one of the business you are spending only 40 hours, and it is generating 10 crores, and the second business you are spending 120 hours, and it is also generating 10 crores, right? Which business do you think is good for you as a business owner?
Definitely with less time getting more.
Obviously, right? So that is what return on time invested is. So you're spending less time, but your returns are more, right? So one thing that you'll have to look for is if I'm spending more time in a particular this thing, how to reduce the time to maximize my return. And that will happen only when you start focusing on the shareholder value chain, right? So having your leadership team, having setting up good processes and systems, which will help you to free up your time so that you can start looking at high growth in your business. And if apart from you, if you are a business owner, apart from you, is there anybody else who will think about the growth of your own organization?
Yes, sir. Lots of people there.
Okay, so in terms of strategic growth of your organization, it's always the ownership of the business owner. The rest of them are employees of your organization, so they will execute what you are designing or what is that you want to implement. But if you're really looking at growth, it is always the business owner. So primarily, return on investment, return on time invested is investing or how much time do you invest and what is the return that you get. Return on investment, ROI, on the other hand, it is basically how much of investment that you're making and what is the return that you get. I invest 1 crore in a particular business. What is the return that you get and how much time it takes for you to get back your money? So that is what return on investment is. Did that clarify, Arvind?
Yes, sir. Yes, better. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, proprietor business like mine, how to implement this strategy? Will it be cost effective? Sorry, something is hiding here. Will it be cost effective? Okay. Yes, it will be depending on what you're aiming. So the first and the foremost thing is whether you are a proprietor or you're a part of a partnership, it doesn't matter. As a business owner, what is that you are aspiring, right? What is the long-term vision that you have for your own, for yourself in terms of wealth creation or whatever, right? You might aspire to say that I want to have provide employment for 1,000 people, right? So how do you do that? Through your business only, right? If you want to build a wealth of, let's say, 100 crores or 1,000 crores, how do you do that? It is through your business. So first, you need to have a clear vision, a personal vision, and that will eventually get translated into business on how this business is going to contribute to that vision. So that is the starting point. So once you define what your vision is, then obviously it will get translated into different this thing. Again, when we talk about vision, it is not just about financial numbers. It is not just about 500 crores or 1,000 crores. There are so many other parameters or focus areas through which you define your vision in terms of what should be your industry leadership, what is the market segments that you would want to focus on. There are so many things that you typically assess when you are defining your vision. Once you define that, then obviously you start preparing your strategic plan, and then you start focusing on execution of those plans as well. Again, there may be a lot of things that will come in your mind in terms of you want to implement so many things. Obviously, you may not be you do not want to boil the ocean, right? All of us are constrained by time. All of us are constrained by the amount of money that we have. So you can do your allocation of your budget accordingly and prioritize these strategies, prioritize the execution, and then you can start executing those strategies. You don't have to boil the ocean. Depending on how much budget that you have, you can allocate the budget accordingly. Hope it answers your question. Okay, so the biggest challenge to keep away from transactions. Can you please suggest the optimized way to keep myself away from transaction and focus on ROI and routing? It's a long answer, but just to keep it simple, first and the foremost thing, start looking at how to delegate some of your responsibilities, right? So today you may be doing n number of activities. First of all, you need to identify which are those activities that you can delegate, and do you have the right team in place for you to delegate, right? If you don't have the right team, obviously you end up doing everything. So start building your next level leadership team who can take up some of the responsibilities that you're carrying, which will end up where you will end up freeing your time, when you can start focusing on the shareholder value chain, whether it is ROTE or as well as in the ROI, right? And if there are repeated processes that are very, very manual, start looking at setting up certain systems or bringing certain automation in your respective field to see how you can free up your time. So there are multiple things that you can do, but first and the foremost thing is first start getting a view that I have to release some of my time. First, you need to have that vision in place to or aspire to say that I have to focus on the vision for the company or to get the maximum return for my company. Then automatically the rest of things will automatically follow. Okay, so business owners focus. Okay, in your experience, how easy or difficult is it for business owners to do the activities as stated in your slide? Yes, to begin with, it might sound a little difficult because you may be too operations focused. But once you start slowly setting up your teams, start focusing on developing your leadership team, slowly you start transitioning some of your role, it will happen. But will you, I mean, how long or how easy it is? It is going to take some time because we are talking about an organization transformation. Transformation does not happen overnight, right? So it has to, it will take its own time. And as long as you are able to spend the right, assemble the right team and setting up processes, it should definitely eventually happen, but it will definitely take some time. Depending on how mature our organization is, the implementation will be much easier. If you have good people, if you have good systems in place, then it will be much easier. If you have to start from scratch on implementing all these things, it is going to take some time for you. But if you're looking at, if you're aspiring to grow and if you know that that is the way forward, then start investing on this right away. So it is like laying the foundation for your organization. For if you're building the 3-story building, obviously you need to have a strong foundation, right? So without the strong foundation, you cannot elevate your that building itself. So it is the concept is the same. So start investing on such layers.
Okay, can we interact on this or
Yes, of course, please.
Yeah. So first of all, Suren, this was a wonderful webinar, very, very informative and very powerful. So thank you so much for putting this together.
Thanks, Anurag.
Yeah. Now, my question to you, Suren, is this transformation, and just tell me through the experience that you had, is age of the business owner, does that have any bearing on how amenable and open a particular age group of business owners are vis-a-vis some others?
Interesting question. So age is not a barrier here. You may be a 30-year-old or you may be a 60-year-old business owner, right? The approach is the same. So we do have a lot of business owners who are at that stage, 60, 65. But one thing they have constantly said that if they had known all these concepts, if they had known all these structures 30 years back, they would have done pretty well at that time itself. Yeah. So today they are learning something new. Now they're since it is their own baby, so at least now before they retire, they want to do something about their business. So age is definitely not a criteria at all.
Sure. Thank you, Suren.
Thank you, Anu. Okay, any other questions that you might have? Please do share. Okay, if there are no other questions. Thank you so much for joining this call. Once again, so this is my number 98414145532, and this is my email ID. So and all of us are connected in LinkedIn as well, so you can definitely interact with me. And if you need any additional clarification or if you need any support in taking your organization to the next level, please do reach out to me. So thank you so much for joining this webinar.
Thank you, Suren.
Thank you so much.